So my name's Hallie, and I'm sitting with the creator of Thrall, and this is going to be a quick start lesson of the game, and one of the fastest ways to learn the game is to play, in the creator's opinion, so we're just going to go over how to do that. So what are the classes of the cards that you can get, and how do you actually beat Thrall?
Well, Thrall is a collectible deck building game, and there's 7 classes of cards that are referred to as bloodlines in Thrall. There's lands, thralls, keeps, wizards, titans, dragons, and lords. Each of them have their own distinct abilities and attributes, and some have different movements that they can use on the board.
So how do you actually beat a game of Thrall?
Well, there's 3 ways to beat Thrall. To win a game, you can either surround the throne, which is this center card you see there, and how you surround it is having your cards all the way around, 8 cards surrounding it completely. That's one way. The other way you can win Thrall is to wipe all of your opponent's cards off the board completely. If you destroy your opponent completely, you also win. The third way to win Thrall is to get blood tokens. You win blood tokens in combat, and to win Thrall you need 21 blood tokens. The first player that gets 21 blood tokens wins the game.
Cool. So we've already rolled to see who is actually going to go first in this game, which is me. And I get 2 dice, right, because of the throne?
That's right. You start the game with Thrall with 2 dice, and that is your economy that you're going to use to summon cards onto the world. And so when you start the game, you get to place, if you can roll enough, to place a land, which is the only card you can play without having another card to summon it. Okay. All other cards are summoned by land, but land you can play anywhere adjacent to the throne to start out. And then you can continue to play land on any card that is an ally card, as long as it's adjacent to a previously played card.
Okay.
And you can play cards as far out as 2 cards from the throne, for instance, like this. And so the total board is 25 cards in a square.
Okay.
And you'll see it start to come together as we play the game.
Alright, so I will roll so I can hopefully play my first card.
So when you start the game, you get 2 dice and you get 2 cards.
Okay.
But for every land you're able to play, you get another dice and another card, which increases your economy. Now we're going to play with our cards face up so that it's very easy for the people watching to understand how the gameplay works. But in a regular game...
Yeah, you wouldn't normally do that.
Right, we would have our cards to our chest.
You would not... people seeing your strategy, perhaps. Okay, so I got 12 on my first roll, which 10 is enough to buy Outskirts of Thranduin.
That's right, because its cost is 9, and that's the little coins on the card. So as long as the dice is greater than the cost, you can play the card and summon it to the world.
So that takes that one, and I don't have enough to play this one because this one costs 4 and I only have 2.
That's right.
I'm gonna keep this because I think it might be useful. So my turn is over.
And if you wanted to discard it, you could also discard and just draw a new card at the beginning of your next turn. You have the option to do either one. So when you feel like it's done with your turn, you just say go, and then the next person goes.
Okay.
So I'll roll 2 dice, and I got 13. And I have 2 lands here. One of them is 13, and one of them is 8. And I'm going to play the land that costs 13 right here.
Crags of Moze.
The Crags of Moze. And that will give me another dice on my next turn, and I'll get to draw another card out of my deck. So I'm going to go ahead and give it back to you.
Okay.
And so now you'll have 3 cards.
So I'm going to take these out, and I can draw 2 more cards.
That's right.
So it looks like I got another land and a Thrall.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't too bad. I got 14, 17.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna lay down a land so we use this 14 to buy Sawback Pass, which is 12 cost. And I'm gonna put it over here.
Excellent.
So
And Sawback Pass enables you to summon dragons into the game. Each land has what's called a little loop-de-loop, an infinity symbol, which represents the bloodlines that card is from, which is lands, and then they have the little running man, which is their summons, and that shows what bloodlines they summon. So Outskirts of Thranduin right here summons thralls, like her. Sawback Pass will summon a dragon. So if you draw a dragon into your deck, you can play that dragon, if you can afford it, anywhere adjacent to Sawback Pass.
Oh, okay.
Thranduin, you can do the same with a thrall. You can play your thrall anywhere adjacent to the Outskirts of Thranduin.
Okay, so I think that's it for my turn because I don't have enough money to buy any of these, so it's your turn.
But by adding 2 cards of land, you get another dice into your economy. And once you have 3 land cards played, you'll have 5 total dice, d10s to roll every turn, and that means you have a complete economy in Thrall.
So up to 5 dice.
That's your maximum.
So up to 5 dice, which means up to 5 cards as well, right?
That's right, that you can have in your hand. And so I'm going to roll 3 dice because now I have a land on the board, and I got 26.
That's a pretty good roll.
And I'm going to draw 2 more cards for the 2 dice that I have. And so with these cards, I can afford to buy Highlands with 8, and on a separate purchase, I can buy Forbidden Crater for 16.
What does Forbidden Crater do?
Forbidden Crater is a land, but it summons titans.
Oh, okay.
And so that is another special creature that has its own special powers, and I'll be able to summon a titan to any adjacent space. Not here, though, because you can only be 2 from the center in a 2-player game.
Okay.
So on my next turn, because I laid 2 lands down, I'll actually get all 5 dice. Now, if you were to destroy one of my lands, you would actually remove one of these dice. And in that way, you can attack your opponent's economy and really restrict their ability to fortify their side.
Okay, so I get 4 dice now, correct?
That's right.
And I get 2 more cards. Does it matter if you draw before your hand or after? Does that...
Well, that's how you start your turn, is by drawing your cards.
Okay.
And when you discard, that's how you end your turn.
Alright. So it looks like I got a dragon and another land. And then I had this Thrall, and then this is a land card too. So I'm gonna roll. It's not that bad. Oops, that was neat. So I am going, I don't have enough to buy the dragon because he is, he costs 30.
It looks like you have 23 total.
But I do have enough to buy her, but since I don't have my full economy yet, I'm gonna not do that and buy this one instead.
Another land card.
Yeah, so I'm gonna place this land here, and that will be the end of my turn.
Okay.
Oops. So
And
that
so
means
now,
I have 5 dice next turn.
That's right. So I'm going to draw 4 more cards to give myself a total of 5 cards, now that I have a full economy. And then I'll roll 5 dice.
Pretty good roll.
Yeah, not too bad. And so this roll is, what, 37?
Yeah.
All right. So, to help, because I want to be able to summon keeps, I'm going to put out the Hills of Avroth. Now this card allows me to summon a keep, which is like a stronghold or a castle, and they can have special attributes that help you in the game. And only these cards can summon them. Now also, one of the things about a keep is that's the only way you can get a lord, which is a very special player. And so it's a 2-step system to get those specific characters,
Okay.
and I'm going to start that process now.
So is a land like a keep, or do they have differences?
Well, there's a little bit of similarity because they're both stationary, and lands and keeps are the only 2 cards that don't move.
Oh, okay.
Other cards are able to move around the world while lands and keeps remain still unless they are literally uplifted by a titan and thrown somewhere else, which does happen occasionally. So I'm going to spend 15 to cover the 14 for Hills of Azeroth, and you just put your dice back into your bag area to show that they're spent, and then you still have a couple more dice to spend. And so you can manage your turn in whatever order you like. You can purchase, or you can do other things, which you're going to probably see pretty soon. But first, I'm going to bring out Thoth, who is a Thrall, and put him there. He'll cost 16, and so I'm going to have to spend 19. You don't get any change in Thrall. So sometimes you have to spend more than you want to.
So does Thoth have any particular special abilities that might possibly affect me?
Absolutely. Thoth has the ability to move, for one. So I have 1 dice left, and so one of the things I can do is I can move Thoth. I can move him any direction, 1 adjacent space. It doesn't matter what the number is on the dice.
Oh, okay.
It simply just costs a dice to move a card.
Okay.
It also costs a dice to attack another player.
And you can attack my lands as well with a character.
That's right, but I can't do it right now because I don't have enough
So you just have
dice.
1 to move, but you don't have enough to attack me or anything.
That's right. So I'm just going to leave him there, but he's certainly a looming presence.
Okay, so I now have 5 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 dice. That was not the greatest. That's okay. So let's see. I definitely don't have enough to buy him. I do, however, have enough to buy. Wait. No, I don't have enough to buy her, so I'm gonna just stock up on lands, I guess. So I'm gonna use this 9. It costs 9. I'm gonna put this one here, and this is my border. So this is as far as I can go, right?
That's right. You can go up to 2 cards away from the throne.
Okay. Let's see. And I'm gonna use. Let's see. I'm just gonna use this 8 to buy this one. So this gives an adjacent Thrall, which I don't have yet, but any adjacent Thrall that I summon plus 1 defense.
That's right.
This is also a land card.
That's right. Most land cards have a special effect that will support usually what they summon when they're adjacent to them. So if that land has a Thrall next to it, that Thrall is going to get a little bonus by being next to a friendly land.
And this one actually looks a little more specific. It says it can summon Thralls, but it also says adjacent primal Thrall plus 2 strength. So what is the primal aspect of that?
Well, each card is one of 4 elemental paths, and those paths represent different theme groups of the elemental magics, which are fire, water, primal, and aether. And sometimes specific members of specific paths get special bonuses due to their pathway. So in the instance of Outskirts of Thranduin, for instance, Nash, who's in your hand,
She is primal.
she is a primal Thrall.
Okay.
So if she's adjacent to the Outskirts of Thranduin, she has a +2 strength in her attack, and we'll probably get in a fight pretty soon and demonstrate that.
I hope so.
And so if she's attacking someone and she's next to this card, she doubles her strength up to 4, and that gives her a significant advantage.
Wow.
And even though you have 2 instances of this card, if she's here, you would actually get double that amount. If each card's effect would compound upon her, giving her very high-powered attack. And that's one of the strategies in this game of creating very high-powered combos so that you can defeat your opponent.
So if I placed her here, she would have literally +4 on top of her +2.
That's right. She'd be a +6 attack, which is a significant advantage in Thrall.
But I can't even really attack you from here, so technically I would really only have these 2 options. options, most likely.
Well, if you were going to attack this character, that's right, because you can only attack a character that's adjacent to you.
Okay.
So he could attack this land, but if she was here, you wouldn't be able to attack anyone that wasn't adjacent to her.
Okay.
All characters can only attack adjacent cards.
And also, just so I clarify, just so I know now, say I wanted to buy her and I placed her here, this is the edge of the board, she would only have an option to move this way, technically.
That's right.
Because,
That's right. You can't move through or across your lands, but you can move through angles like this when you have connected corners. So she can move much like this, but she wouldn't be able to move, for instance,
so
from
no
here to
jumping
here.
cards or whatever.
That's right.
Okay. So it's my turn or your turn? I'm sorry.
I believe it's my turn now.
Yeah.
So I'll draw 2 more cards, and I'll roll my dice.
Pretty good roll.
Not too bad. And so I will take 24
Okay.
and summon Roar, which is a Titan.
He looks pretty mean.
He is a dangerous looking fellow.
So he is, in essence, a character just like Thoth, but like he can move around.
That's right.
Okay.
Just like Thoth, he can move and is able to bring the fight to your opponents by moving right up against them like that.
So in order to move, though, so you spent how many dice to buy him, and then to move it, does it cost a dice, or?
That's right.
Okay.
I just spent 25 to move the character, and those bring those dice here. And then I spent another dice to move him.
Okay. But none to attack, so you're just
Still
left.
don't have enough leftover dice to do any attacks.
So it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like you're rolling better than me. In general. So draw 2 more cards. Looks like I have expensive cards. So let's see. So I probably have just enough to buy her.
You do.
And I'm gonna put her here because she does have a +1 defense with this card, and also a +2 strength, but I'm mostly putting her here for the defense. So that gives her +2.
Excellent.
And that takes up my dice. And it's your turn.
All right. So I'll pick add one card and roll my dice.
So when I discard, because just to clarify, maybe I don't want 2 dragons necessarily in all my cards. So when I discard a card, where does that go? Is it?
You discard your card right here. And so if you want to discard that card, you just put it face down into this pile, which is called Purgatory.
Okay.
Now, Purgatory doesn't mean that card is dead, because once you go through your deck, you just shuffle your Purgatory deck and you start again.
Okay.
But if a card is killed, it goes to a different place. It goes to Oblivion, and that'll be face up here. And you won't be able to use that card again this game.
This game, okay. Good to know.
So it looks like I rolled a 27 plus 4, which is 31.
Nice.
And I'm going to first play Cursed Cemetery, which is actually a keep. And by playing a keep, this gives me the ability to potentially summon a lord, which is a special character, but requires a little effort to get them out. So I'll spend 20.
A lord is essentially the 3rd step in the process.
That's right.
Okay.
They're one of the more difficult or complex characters to get on the board because they have special abilities that I'll demonstrate if I'm able to summon one. And then with the remaining 9, I think I'll go ahead and make an attack with Roar against the outskirts of Thranduin.
Okay.
And so when you're in combat, I spend a dice in order to have my character attack any adjacent character of yours.
Okay.
And so we're both going to roll a d10, and you don't have to spend one per se, you just get one for free. And you're going to be rolling on your defense, which is the little shield, and it's a +1 for this card.
Okay.
My offense is a +1 as well, so it's an even roll. Not necessarily the smartest attack, but I want to demonstrate how combat works.
Is this one, it does say adjacent Thrall ×2 defense dice. Does that only pertain to an actual Thrall character or a Thrall card?
That's a good question. It does only apply to a Thrall character, because this is actually a land. And so it summons Thralls, but lands aren't actually a Thrall.
Okay.
So we both roll our d10, and let's see what happens. So I rolled a 1, and you rolled a 4. And so how we modify those is we take our modifier, which is +1, so you got a 5, and I got a 2.
Okay.
And so then you won, and how we determine the damage is you take 5 minus 2, which is 3. And so that means that I receive 3 damage.
Which is your toughness? Is this your toughness?
That's right. You see, the little hand is actually my toughness, and that's how much life the character has.
Okay.
And so when I'm injured, I put these chips on the card that represent damage. But once I've achieved maximum damage, or all my chips are out, as in 3, which in this case is what has happened, this card actually dies. And what happens is you get the chips, and I send this card to oblivion.
Okay.
So I can't use that card anymore, and you're on your way to winning the game by stacking up 3 of the 21 blood tokens you would need to be victorious.
Okay. So now it's my turn, correct?
That's right.
So I still have 5 dice.
And I'm going to discard end times because I won't need it. Because my Titan was just killed.
A Titan, okay. So I'm gonna draw 2 cards. So I'm gonna have some repeat characters. Let's see. So 27, 32, 33. Which is not enough to buy him. He's 35. But I do have enough to buy this, which is kind of exciting. So I'm gonna spend 33. Or wait, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna spend that much to buy Pitch Throat.
A dragon.
And I put him there because of the land being his summoning card, correct?
Okay, yeah, you did it right. Now, there's a special feature that dragons have that no other card or bloodline has in Thrall. Dragons have the ability to move anywhere in the world by spending 1 dice.
Okay.
So whereas a Thrall could only move 1 adjacent space by spending a dice, you could spend this 1 remaining dice and move this dragon anywhere on the board.
Oh wow, that's pretty powerful.
It is. And also dragons have a natural +2 advantage against lands. They're very good at flying into your enemy's territory and scorching his lands and driving them from the earth. So they're a very powerful character in that regard.
Well, since I spent these 4, I'm gonna put them over here so we know. And then I have 1 left, and I don't want to waste it. So, Thoth has a -1 defense, it looks like.
Yeah, he's very weak on defense, and you'll find that in Thrall, some players may have a strong offense, like Thoth with a +2, but that only helps me on my turn. On your turn, if I'm attacked, I'm surprisingly weak as that character.
Ooh, but wait, no, because your special ability is +4 defense versus dragons.
That's a very good observation. So that takes him from -1, and it moves the integer up to +2. So therefore, it might not be in your dragon's best interest to attack that character, but if anybody else attacks him, he's still -1. For instance, Nash, who's a Thrall. So her attack would be quite superior, whereas the dragon's in this instance isn't so great.
So I think strategy-wise, it's in my best interest to attack your land because I have +2 strength, which would make me +4 against.
That's correct.
1. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll my last dice and do that.
Okay.
And I got 5.
And I rolled a 7.
4, which would make me a 9.
That's right. And I got a 7 with a +1 defense, which makes it 8. So 9 to 8 is 1 difference because 9 minus 8 is 1. So that means I take 1 chip and put it on this card. But this card can only take 1 damage. So just like Roar, you defeated it and you get to receive this blood token and the card goes to oblivion.
Why, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so that's the end of my turn. I'm gonna look at my cards and see if I can discard anything, and I think I'm gonna keep. Actually, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep what I have.
Okay. And so now you've injured one of my 4 lands, but I still have 3, which is
still have enough.
I still have a full economy and can roll all 5 dice. But if you were to use your dragon to kill 1 more of my lands,
then you would have less dice.
I would have less dice. And so
It's kind
I
of a
got
strategy
16.
within itself, I'm
That's
saying.
right. 23, 25, 29. And so I'm going to put down another land. Or first I need to draw 2 cards. Oh, there's a couple good ones.
Who is she? That one is right here.
That's Villarreal, and she is a lord.
Oh, okay.
And so she was what I was talking about that you can
Summon
use,
these.
that I can use Cursed Cemetery to get on the board. And I can afford to get her now, but I'm a little nervous about not having more land out there due to all the pending danger. But I just can't help myself, and so I'm going to play her right here adjacent to Cursed Cemetery for 20. And so I'll take 14 plus 6 and put her there.
So, just so I know a little bit, so this card summons this card, which in turn summons her.
That's right.
And say I kill this card, you wouldn't be able to summon any of these anymore.
That's right.
But you could still summon lords because
From
it's
the key.
still on the. Okay.
That's right. And so one of the ways you can prevent other players from summoning the enemies that you don't want to do battle with is to try and destroy their lands or make it so they're unable to summon any more of those characters.
Okay.
So that's all I can really do on this turn, except for maybe 1 attack with Thoth against Sawback Pass.
Okay.
And so even though you did destroy or lose or discarded one of your dragons, I know that that dragon will come back once you get through your deck.
Because it's in purgatory.
Because it's just in purgatory. So I'm going to destroy Sawback Pass in hopes of making that more difficult for you.
You try and destroy it.
That's right.
So.
And in this case, I had some luck. So I rolled an 8 and you rolled a 5. And so
I don't have any defense bonus or anything, so.
Right, so your total is 5, and I have a +2 offense bonus, so my 8 becomes a 10. And so even though it's more blood, or more than it would be required to just defeat this card, I still only received the 1 available blood token, and I just place that over here in my section.
So this one's dead, and this goes into the oblivion.
That's right.
Face up.
That's right. And that'll end my turn, and I'll just pass it on to you.
Okay, so I still have 1, 2, I have enough land, so I still have 5 dice. And draw a card. Let's see. I think I really want to use my dragon on something, so I'm not gonna buy anything just yet, but I'm gonna spend this 1 to move here. That's not too far. No, that's right. And I'm gonna spend this 2. These over here is so confusing. And I'm gonna roll against your Forbidden Crater.
Perfect.
And I'm I have +2 strength. Oh, I have +2 strength against land, so.
And you already, well, you have +2 strength and a +2 strength bonus against lands, which is a total of 4.
Okay.
So even though you rolled a 1, you actually got a 5.
5.
And I only have a +1 advantage, which only brings me up to a 4.
So
even
still
though,
got you.
exactly, even though I rolled a better number, I'm the one that lost the card, and you win the token.
Yay.
And in this instance, because you've defeated one of my 3 lands...
Now it affects your economy.
That's right. And you still have 3 dice to go.
Yeah, so I think that was pretty good. So I'm gonna spend this 4 and move him here. And I'm gonna attack actually the cracks of Moe's with his 6. And I still have 1 dice left. Oh man. Okay. So
8.
+4 means I got 12.
And because I had a 10 and a +1, I get an 11, which is still
enough.
because he only costs 1 to kill most land cards. I'm still defeated, and you receive another blood token. And this is really crippling my economy now. This is going to make it difficult for me to summon more beasts on my next turn because I'm going to only have 3 dice to roll. Even if you have other lords or keeps or other thralls or any other player, only lands provide you the dice you need to summon in your economy.
So let's see here. I spent this one. So I have 1 left, and I'm going to. I'm actually going to leave my dragon there, and I'm actually going to use Nash to attack Thought.
Okay.
Because he has that -1 defense, and I'm +2 strength because of this card because she's primal.
That's right.
So that makes her +4.
That's right, to -1.
So that's 7.
And since I got 7 -1, I got 6. And so you still did 1 damage.
And that's not enough to take him out.
That's right, so he'll just he'll stay there with his red token on him until he's defeated.
Making him a target.
Yeah, kind of.
Alright, so that's the end of my turn.
Okay.
And I'm actually gonna, I'm going to discard this land and put it into inventory.
Okay.
So now it's the end of my turn.
Awesome. So now I only get to roll 3 dice. And so I'm not going to have nearly as much money to purchase.
Still a good roll, though.
Yeah, it was a pretty good roll. So I got 15, 22, but it's not enough to buy Jagrog, which is my Titan, and nor do I have a Titan land anymore to even summon him because you've destroyed it. So he's probably just going to get discarded at this point. Now, Pilon, I can't afford him either because he's 25. But I can afford to put down this land, and that's really what I should do because I need more dice in my economy. Now, I don't like this dragon, and so I'm going to put this guy over here to where he's got a little more protection.
Okay.
Because Villarreal has a special effect in that she adds +1 defense to all of her adjacent allies and even allied lands. So my land will be a little bit more protected there next to her.
So basically, these two have +1 more defense because of her.
That's right.
Okay.
Lords have the ability to bonus almost any class around them.
But she is still +1 defense.
That's right.
Okay.
Bonuses don't apply to yourself, though.
Okay.
And so I only have 1/7 remaining, and I'm going to use that to actually move Villarreal onto the throne. Now, this is a special ability that only lords can do. No other class of card or bloodline can actually move on to the throne, but a lord can. And when the lord moves onto the throne, a special effect takes place. The effect that affects all of their adjacent allies normally now affects all of their allies on the board, even if they're not adjacent to them.
Oh, okay.
So what that means is that +1 defense for adjacent ally lands and allies now affects these lands even that aren't adjacent.
Oh, wow.
All of my players now have a +1 defense bonus.
That's pretty powerful.
It is, but it's also a vulnerable position on the throne.
Yeah, because you're kind of like in the middle of the line of fire.
You are, and you can still be attacked just like any other place by your thralls or your lands, and so it's a tenuous position trying to stay on the throne. And that'll complete my turn.
Alright, so roll my 5 dice. Not so bad. Seems like you're rolling a little bit better than me.
I always load the dice.
You what?
I always make sure to use loaded dice.
I knew it. So I have one more card. And it looks like I got a... This is Inferno, which is a dragon effect card. And that costs 16. That I can definitely afford it, and it actually gives my dragon ×3 strength dice.
It's a very powerful effect, and so if you play that card adjacent to your dragon...
So anywhere here.
That's right. And you do combat with an adjacent enemy, instead of rolling 1 dice, you'll be able to roll up to 3 dice if you have them available, and choose the best number as your number in combat.
Oh, okay. So if I play this, here, is this going to be in use for future attacks, or is it just more of a one-time use card?
With that card, you can use it as many times as you can before it's destroyed.
Oh, okay.
But they're very easy to destroy.
And that's because they don't have any value necessarily.
They don't have any toughness, so you don't have to worry about losing blood tokens because of them. But they have -5 defense, so they'll probably not last too long. So you'll want to hurry up and use the effect when you play it.
Okay. So I'm going to use this 16. Put those over there, and I'm going to play it here. And I'm going to use this. Actually, I'm just going to use the 3 that I have left. So I guess that's my next question is, say I didn't have 3 dice to use this card, with the bonus, do I always get 3 dice, or is it I have to have the 3 dice to spend?
You'd have to have the 3 dice available.
Okay. So I do have 3 dice available. I'm just going to go ahead and use those to roll against Villarreal.
Excellent.
So
it doesn't look great for this particular lord because I rolled a 2, which +1 is 3. And you rolled a 5, 6, and a 9, and so you can select the 9 as your choice, and then add +2 to make it 11.
Oh wow.
So 11 to 3 is a difference of 8. And since Villarreal has a toughness of 6,
that means she is dead.
She's completely killed, and you receive 6 points. So I'd put those on the card for you to pick up and take back to your horde, and then I would send my card to Oblivion. Bye, Villarreal.
Looks like I'm winning.
It does look like you're doing pretty good for a first-time player.
So that takes all these, and that's the end of my turn.
Okay. And so I'm still short of one of the lands that I would need to have a full economy, so I only get to roll 4 dice and also pick 4 more cards into my hand. Alright, so I rolled a 27, 32. Now, last turn I played a card called Emerald Canyon, and it has a special ability as a land in that adjacent Thrall are -5 cost. And so, with a Thrall like Pythia, right here, who costs 32, I can actually summon her adjacent to Emerald Canyon for only 27. That's right.
Okay.
And so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to place her right here for 27.
She definitely has a good ability.
She does. She has the ability to, she has a +2 strength and also a +2 strength versus dragons. And I'm about to use that against Pitchthroat, who's been quite a nuisance. Now, since it says adjacent dragons ×3 strength dice, that doesn't actually apply to defense.
Okay.
And so you only get to use the defense number, which is +1, and I'm going to be attacking with a +4 in this case.
Okay. No!
And so 6 to 7.
So I got 7.
Right, and I got 11.
Oh, wow.
And so that's going to deliver 4 damage to Pitch Throat. So I'll put 4 chips on top of the dragon.
Which doesn't kill him because he needs 1 more to die.
That's right. And that's all the dice I have for this turn.
So probably getting my dragon out of there would be a good strategy. Perhaps. Okay, so looks like good.
Well, she is only strength versus dragons, too.
Oh, okay.
So with your Inferno card,
Yeah.
if you were to attack on my turn, just as much as I had extra powers on my aggressive side, I am not going to have the same powers on the defensive side. But I do get adjacent Thrall times 2 dice. So
okay.
I can roll 2 defense dice against your 3 offensive dice. And since it's a +2 defense on Pythia and a +2 offense for Pitch Throat, it's a near even roll, but you'd have 1 extra dice to see if you could get the better number.
Well, and it's probably pretty tricky, you know, or because I have 1 more life, like blood point left before I die, so I could possibly die in an attack.
Definitely.
You know, which is, I don't know about that. Okay, so I have 1 more card to draw. So let's see. I'm gonna use this one to attack Thoth
Okay.
with Nash, and so I still have this adjacent Primal Thrall +2 strength, which with her added strength makes her +4.
Right, against the -1 of Thoth.
Hopefully that does it. So that's a 6, so that would mean that I got 10.
And I got a 7 because I rolled an 8, so -1 is 7, so that's 3 damage. And Thoth only has 3 toughness, so since he's already lost 1, that's more than enough to
Take
send him
out
to
of the
oblivion.
game.
That's right. And that's the end of him.
So I spent that one. I am going to spend this 4 to move Nash over here, which is kind of interesting because now she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on attack. But
That's right.
There's no one to attack, so I don't know if that matters. Let's see. I'm actually going to. I've been sitting on this card and I want to use it. I'm gonna spend 7 on this ambush effect card. So I'm gonna use this 9 to. I'm gonna place it here. So that gives me the ability to move adjacent Thrall anywhere in the world.
That's right. So you can take any one of yours or my thralls and move them anywhere in the world.
So I think I'm gonna move your Thrall because that seems the most interesting, and I'm going to place her here.
A very clever move.
So I still have 2 dice left, correct? Yeah. This
Mhm.
is 3. So this actually is gonna really probably hurt you pretty bad.
I think so.
And I'm gonna use this 5, so I have 10 left to roll against Pythia, and I have +6 strength
That's
against
right.
your +2 defense, which essentially makes it +4.
That's right.
Oh wow.
So 9 plus 2 is 11.
Ah.
And 4 plus 6 is 10. So even with that huge amount of advantage, you still actually got 1 damage in this instance. The great equalizer that is fate.
So I can't help myself. I have 1 more dice, and I'm gonna spend it and do the same thing.
Okay. And this time I wasn't quite so lucky. You rolled a 11, and I rolled a 6, which is 5 damage. Pythia can actually take 6 damage, but boy, am I hanging on by a thread.
Literally 1 thread. So that is the end of my turn, actually going to discard this card and put it into purgatory.
Okay.
So lose 1, 3, and it's your turn.
All right. So still only with 4 dice. Really should probably get another land out there this turn. I'll draw, oops, only gonna draw 4, so that's all I get, and roll my 4 dice. All right, so that's 26, and I'm going to get right down and get this land out here, Windcaster Caverns.
What does that one do?
This is a wizard summoning card. It's a land card, and with it I can summon a wizard, so that'll cost me 16. I'll just put that back over here. And I don't really think I'm in a position to do a lot of fighting at the moment, so I'm just going to forego the other 10 I have here and live to fight another day.
Okay.
I'm going to discard those 2 and just put those in purgatory.
Roll. There's 2 more. Looks like I got 2 of the same dude. Okay, so I think I'm going to try and finish her off
Okay.
and spend these 3 dice to do that because I have the ×3 strength dice, and he can still attack her, right? Because this is adjacent.
That's right.
So I have this 10 left over here, and I'm gonna spend these 3.
All right, and I'll just roll my 1 dice with a 9.
That's pretty good. Ah.
So even with 3 dice to choose from, your highest dice is 6. And with a +2 strength, that brings it to an 8 on your attack. I have a +2 defense, and I rolled a 9, which means I got an 11. So that means I delivered 3 damage to Pitchthroat, and since Pitchthroat only has 5 toughness,
That was enough to take him out.
that was more than enough. And so I get these chips, and your card goes back to Oblivion.
Okay, so that didn't work out. I'm gonna take these 3 dice, spent them, I have 2 more. And I can't even play this because I don't have dragons, so I'm gonna put this in purgatory. And I don't have enough to really do anything else to buy, so I'm gonna spend 1 dice to attack Pythia.
Okay,
Try again.
sounds good.
Oh,
10
what?
to 10.
But I'm +6.
And I'm +2, so that means it's 12 to 16,
Oh, wow.
which is a 4 difference, and I only had 1 more toughness to spare, so you get 6 more toughness. And I think you probably need to count your tokens, because I'm curious if you're not pretty close to 21, which would be you winning this game.
Pretty good for a first try. 1,
Not too bad.
2, 3, 4. Literally exactly 21.
Good job.
Thanks.
Well, I think you did a great job for your first try and helping me and I really
Super
appreciate
fun.
you helping me demonstrate the game.
Oh man, that was really great. Especially with this one. That was a good. These 2, that was, I didn't even mean to do that strategy, but it really worked out.
Well, it's all about combos and creating unique strategies to beat your opponent in Thrall.